Hello and welcome back to Into the Chatterverse, where two gents share their 2 cents on pop media. I am Victor Dandridge, the hardest working man in comics.
And I'm Bill, and I have to think that the Cybertruck looks really great on the inside because I'm really tired of seeing the outside.
Have you ever sat in one?
No.
I'm almost tempted. Juno loves Cybertrucks. She thinks that they are the coolest things ever. She's also 8. But I am so tempted to take her to like a Tesla dealership just so she can sit in one.
I'm thinking that whoever created it really loves the original Tron without any of the creativity behind it. Because there were some things that were creative in the original Tron.
Very true.
But just feels very blocky.
It is super blocky.
And the reason I say that is because I saw one on the road today.
Yeah.
And I've seen a lot lately. And it had Florida plates, which made me think it was a rental.
Yeah, I can see that because there's a bunch of them here in Columbus.
Yeah,
and I've seen quite a few. For me, I see your Tron reference, and for me, it always reminds me of early PlayStation graphics, like PlayStation 1.
That's
graphics.
all the same.
Yeah, it's exactly the same.
Yeah,
it just looks like we couldn't do curves in
this
graphics level. So yeah, this is a car, and you're like, yep, that circa 95, that's a car. I am now curious. Yeah, I think I am going to make that like a point to take her to a Tesla dealership so we can sit in a Cybertruck just to see what it feels like. And heaven help me if it's actually comfortable. That would be insane.
Yeah.
Okay, so we are going to talk about the phenomenon that has taken over streaming and all these wonderful things of Stranger Things. It is soon to hit its finale, although there is supposed to be a spinoff that's supposed to take place between 2 and 3, and I think it's supposed to be animated. So that doesn't have to necessarily worry about the aged up factor too much about the cast. Although I've heard Caleb McLaughlin talk. He does not sound like young Lucas, so I don't know how they're going to do this, but very interesting. But what I wanted to look at was the actual cultural impact that Stranger Things has made over almost the last 10 years. Right? It's been approximately 9. I think it came out in 2016 was when it officially came out, and really looking at these different factors of what it did to pop culture. Now, I'm all caught up on this show, but you didn't really get into it very well.
I watched the first episode.
That's it? Tapped out after the first episode.
It didn't do anything for me.
I got you.
And it should have grabbed me.
It should have.
Because it takes place, during my late childhood, basically.
Like such a form. Now, when you say it didn't grab you, was it just boring or too familiar?
I don't think it was really anything. There was nothing about it that was just like, there was a little nostalgia in there, but also I'm like, I don't care.
Okay. Man, nostalgia got it baited me so well.
Yeah.
With just like even the opening sequence of the title. And I was like, this is amazing. And I have this weird sort of like theory about this. So I'm a little bit younger than you, right?
Yeah.
And my recollection of the 80s, I think, is always tainted because I was literally a little kid in the 80s. And if I were to point to any character in Stranger Things that would have been like representation of my actual age, it would be like the youngest Wheeler child who we really don't even see in this whole thing. Like everything about the 80s that I love almost requires for you to have been born in like either the very late 60s or early 70s to really take part in. And I think there's something really interesting about that. Like every time we talk about like, 80s kids, these were actually kids that were born in like the late 60s, early 70s.
Right.
Why do we have this like linear disconnect to that idea? Like, I don't know what it is. Like you look at 80s movies and you're like, I want to be that guy. And you go, there's no way that I could have been that person because I was literally born 10 years too late. Like the whole concept of what this represents, even I don't have the foundations for it. Like I'm literally like almost a generation or half a generation after it. And I think it's one of the things that is so weird to me to find the nostalgia of this show so alluring because I really didn't grow up in it. Like I remember aspects of it through pop culture media, right? Through movies and things like that. I remember those things, but that wasn't actually my life.
Well, I look at it this way. So Dazed and Confused takes place in 76.
Okay.
And I was 10 years old.
Wow. Okay. All right. Kind of, I mean, you're close to that one, right? Like you're close enough at 10 to the
But
high school
I wasn't
age.
in high school.
You weren't in high school. That's true. That's very
I also didn't grow up in Texas.
I mean, those are very true facts,
Yeah.
right? Very true. But
Yeah.
I think there's something really interesting about the idea of we'll say a 6-year difference of characters, right? To I love Ferris Bueller's Day Off. In 1986, I was 4. Like, that is such a huge difference.
Yeah, but you didn't watch it when you were 4.
Oh, I did.
You didn't know what it was.
I didn't know.
That's just like me saying I watched Jaws when I was 11, but I don't remember.
Well, no, because there are certain ones that I do remember because of their impact, right? Like, I remember watching RoboCop.
Well, no, I remember watching Jaws.
Yeah.
I remember but the impact of everything outside of don't go under the water.
I mean, that's fair.
Okay.
That's fair. But what I mean is, like, for me, it was probably part of the frequency that I watched it. So, for whatever reason, this was part of a series of movies that my dad taped on beta, and I would watch it all the time.
Machine.
He had a Betamax, man. It was crazy dope. I would watch them all the time, right? So, when it comes to like remembering and relevant, like Ferris Bueller's Day Off was one of the first movies I could quote at like 5 or 6 because I watched it that much. I would also put up there, my father had some very questionable tendencies when it came to movies that I watched. The Secret of My Success, I think I watched that more than I watched Back to the Future.
That's a problem.
I know, but it was all part of this like this one like cassette tape that he had.
Helen Slater's in that, right?
Yes. And Michael J. Fox and
I'm not. The
whole
whole point of bringing up Helen Slater was Supergirl. Like I knew Michael J. Fox was in it.
Yeah, Supergirl's in that one. That's right.
Yep.
Ooh. So yeah, I find it very interesting that I have this deep connection to the 80s when I go, you lived through it, but you really didn't live. You didn't experience it.
Right. You were there.
Yeah.
You were there in the 80s. I was there in the 70s.
And I think that's so very interesting. All right. So to that, I went to chat to kind of throw out like, what are 10 things that Stranger Things has brought out in terms of pop culture, and just like what is it that we could just riff on. And the first one is nostalgia for the 80s, and that's kind of where I'm like, yeah, that is such a weird thing for me. Like, how do I have this nostalgia for something that I really couldn't really remember experiencing? Like,
it's just because you were there. You were there at the time.
That's it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right.
It's a part of your life. It's not a big part of your life because you don't remember it that much, but it's
fair.
a part of your life.
That's fair. We talk about it because the girls are super into Stranger Things, right? Even Juno suddenly like jumped into it, loves it, and when it comes to moments in the show where the characters are doing something stupid, she's like, "Oh, what was the '80s?" And I'm like, "What's that supposed to mean?" And she's like, "Y'all just did stupid stuff in the '80s." And I'm like, "I mean, shut up! Like you don't know." But then I have to think about it, like, yeah, we kind of did, didn't we? Like based on pop culture. That is the assumption. Yeah,
but that's in 20 years. That's going to be them too.
It is. It so is. Yeah. I can't wait to rub that in her face. All right. So the number 2 thing, the rise of streaming services. Looking at Stranger Things as a platform builder for Netflix, I have to say it is pretty high. It is one of the few properties that I know that bends the Netflix rule of no more than 2 seasons. Do we talk about this?
I thought it was 3.
They don't do 3. Because in the 3rd season, they have to pay you more.
That I thought it was after the 3rd, but okay.
Yeah. So this one definitely had like a big presentation. And I would even say got bigger for the 3rd season, which said to me like there's a lot more of what Netflix is investing in this. Like they have absolutely kicked off Stranger Things, Netflix, the tandem of it, I think is high. Is there another streaming platform that you think could have taken Stranger Things and made it what it is? Or did it always have to be Netflix, in your opinion?
Well, at the time?
Yeah.
No, there's nothing.
Okay.
Like now, any one of them, I think.
Okay. Yeah, 2016, you're right. We didn't have Disney+. Was Hulu there at the time? Like maybe Hulu was there, but I don't...
I want to say yes, but Hulu was still probably in its infancy.
Right. So I think Netflix was such a necessary component for it at the time. Let's see. 2010? Really?
2007. Launched 2007.
Wow.
It's still in its infancy.
Yeah.
Because even Netflix...
was before that.
Yeah, and Netflix was, they were the little brother of Blockbuster.
Right.
Blockbuster had a chance to buy them.
So had a chance. Nah, we're good.
Yeah.
We don't care. Yeah, I think that's one of the other key pieces too, is when it comes to streaming services that have like a marquee property.
Yeah.
That's dead on. I can't think of another correlating property to a platform that doesn't already have something else that is built off of. Like even like Disney Plus and the MCU, it's building off of the MCU. So any show doesn't necessarily stand on its own like that, as far as I can think of. Can you think of one?
No, because even like the Taylor Sheridan stuff
Right.
isn't helping. The Star Trek stuff isn't helping.
Right.
The back catalog of HBO to HBO Max, you could probably say that, but still not to the
same effect.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so number 3 thing is revitalization of genre, right? So you've got horror, sci-fi, and coming of age as 3 like components of this. And I think that almost goes back to the 80s thing, where we had movies like very, very distinctly that would blend genres like that, where yes, it might be coming of age, but it had this other component to it that drew you in, sometimes even more so than that. Like I think most of the horror slasher franchise, the key to them are coming of age stories. They just also have a horror component. Like, and yes, it's 80s adjacent because it's 79. Halloween starts out where it's basically a coming of age story, and then like the last half hour, Michael Myers gets busy. Like, it's such an interesting sort of way to kind of say like, oh, here's this overlap of genres. And I think one of the biggest players who this entire series just kind of has a love letter to is Steven Spielberg. And looking at his catalog of movies starting from 75 to 93, he does that a lot, where it's a mix of genres across the board. Jaws, like most people would say Jaws is a horror movie until you watch it, right? And then like midway through, it stops being a horror movie, and it's kind of like this action adventure of these grown men on a boat. Like it totally changes like the vibe of what they do.
So it's the opposite of From Dusk Till Dawn.
Yes, actually. Oh, that's a good pull. I didn't even think about that one. You're absolutely right. Yes. Yeah, so looking at that, I think Close Encounters, is also another movie that does that. What was I about to say? E.T. is a movie that does that, where it's about a lot of other things other than just this extraterrestrial, right? Like, and I think that's something that we've kind of lost track of. Like, we don't see movies that do that as often. It's kind of great. Like, I really like, that buildup of storytelling, which is super great. Next one was diverse representation. And I know you didn't watch it too deeply to really see all the different characters that show up.
One episode.
That's it. But we do have a range of different folks, right? Like whether racially, gender-based, like there's a lot of hints of different sexual orientations. So much is happening in this series that I think is actually really progressive, that we wouldn't have had from the 80s movies. Like, I think that's something that's really interesting too. I don't know how many characters we saw that were openly gay in 80s coming of age stories, right? Like, I'm literally drawing a blank on naming a character that was.
Yeah, I think you're right. Yeah. And even if you could find one, it's gonna
be a bad caricature of what that means. You know what I mean? Like, maybe Mannequin? Like, I just lost his name. What's the black guy's name for Mannequin? He was on Designing Women. Not even a...
Yeah, I know who you're talking about. Yeah. I can't remember the guy's name.
But that was like the closest that we had to such a thing.
Yeah.
Right? Which is interesting. Fandom and community. Now, this one I think is big, right? So, obviously, me living in the Comic-Con space, the amount of impact that Stranger Things has had on cosplay has been ridiculous. Like, there are 2 characters that stand out the most. That is Eleven and Eddie, who was in this last season. Right? So, with Millie Bobby Brown's portrayal of 11, we saw an influx of guys wearing dresses, carrying Eggo waffles with their heads shaved. A few ladies who did it, which was great. But then when she moves into season 3 and she gets her mall outfit, that created a whole new resurgence for it, which was huge. We had Eddie with the Hellfire Club t-shirt. You see that everywhere, still to this day, which is insane.
Still takes me back to X-Men every time I see that.
Does it really?
Yeah, every time. I'm like, I don't remember that logo.
I don't remember that.
And I have to look it up. I'm like, oh, yeah.
Sebastian Shaw would never.
That would be terrible if like that's what John Byrne came up with.
Wow.
I'd be like, you should be ashamed of yourself.
John, how very dare you?
Yeah.
How very dare you? But yeah, I think that's something that's super interesting. And then there are prop visuals that everyone, sees all the time. When you see letters written out with Christmas lights, that is now going to be a staple of like Stranger Things ideas. Now, you didn't watch but one episode, so I don't know. Does that make sense to you? Like, have you seen that type of thing and know what it is? No?
No.
Okay.
Not always.
All right. If someone says they're from the Upside Down, does that?
No, I wouldn't even know what that was.
Okay. All right. I'd
be like, oh, that's nice.
That's
no idea what you're talking about.
All right. Let's see. Cultural references. Series includes numerous references to 80s pop culture, including music, movies, things like that. This is one that I think is super interesting. Running Up That Hill is the best presentation of what that impact could be. That and was it Master of Puppets? I think that's what he plays. In that 4th season, 2 songs that were readily used a lot in the show suddenly boom in terms of their listening acumen, like in real life. And in Running Up That Hill actually charted higher because of Stranger Things than it did when it first came out in the 80s. That's wild to me. Like, to me, I think that's a statement that it's nostalgia done right.
Mm-hmm.
You have some new age creators that remember or trying to tap into something, and it actually creates a positive, at least economically, for the creators of that age who might not have received that kind of attention at the time. From what I understand, like, the streams went up so high that the original creator of that song, like, got like a huge chunk of money, like almost out of nowhere because of this. And I'm like, that's cool. Like, I like the impact of that. Now, I guess Metallica got the same thing, but did they need it as much? I mean, they're definitely a household name when it comes to rock bands, but it's still kind of cool that this new show could have that kind of impact from an old song. I would implore for you to actually get to season 4 just so you can see why that song became popular.
Sure.
Please, I'm telling you, I think you would like it.
I'll give it a shot. Probably won't be until the series is over.
That's fair. But I think it also is a great note to see how certain people have transitioned up into other things, right? Wolf Fingard blew up from this show, right? So he had 2 major features, I would say, coming off of Stranger Things, the Ghostbusters reboot, as well as It. And I think those were huge opportunities for him. Granted, not everybody else is taking advantage of it in the same way. Gayton, I think, has done well on Broadway, which is fantastic. But then there's Joseph Quinn, who had a major glow up from his, his short stint in season 4 of Stranger Things. That's how he became part of this big push in popularity. So many people responded to his character so well. I think that definitely opened up the doors for him for the MCU. He's going to be a Beatle, which, for him is going to be a big deal as well. So I think that's kind of another big piece of the impact that this series has actually created. Do you feel like there are other people that possibly could have or have benefited that I'm not thinking of? Like, does Winona Ryder count as any sort of resurgence? Or David Harbour, does he count?
I think David Harbour does.
Okay.
Obviously, Millie Bobby Brown does.
Very fair.
I think that David Harbour, like, he was already around, and I knew who he was. Mm-hmm. He was, that guy.
He was definitely that guy.
And now I know his name, and the fact that he's been able to, work in the MCU.
Mm-hmm.
and was Hellboy.
We're not going to talk about that part.
But yeah, I mean, there are people that I know based on that show. I don't know that Winona Ryder would count.
Okay.
I remember her coming back for Star Trek.
Right. She's Spock's mama.
Yep.
Yeah. She was in that for a hot second.
Yep.
And oops. I
don't think she ever really went away.
No, she dies.
No.
Oh, you mean
Winona Ryder? No, I'm not. No, I've seen that movie.
I got you. You. She got quiet after the stealing thing.
Well, I mean, self-inflicted wounds will do that to you.
That will definitely. But this definitely brings back something for her, which I think is great. All right, so the last one is the cultural scholarship, and it's the idea that this series talks about, on an academic level, a lot of very interesting things in terms of like characterizations, whether race plays into stuff, misogyny plays into things, like how characters are treated. It's so very interesting to see like a legitimacy put behind this that I think most features from the 80s never got, right? Like as much as people love Goonies, I'm not seeing like major like storytelling courses about what Goonies did. You might get it in film school, but not necessarily the same as like, what are these characters?
It didn't have really the cultural footprint.
You don't think so?
That Stranger Things has.
Yes, you're absolutely right. No, that I can definitely, I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Because Stranger Things has become such a phenomenon that it kind of eclipses those types of things that came before it. Though it stands on those shoulders. Like,
yeah, I mean, it's said in the same vein, but it doesn't have the impact, I don't think.
Very true. I think that's one of my personal gripes of the, how do I want to say this? Kind of the metatextualness of Stranger Things. Stranger Things brought Sean Astin into season 2, and it was great, and it was super fun because there was this whole thing about them doing a movie night, and I'm like, oh, here it comes. Goonies doesn't come out till 85. This season takes place in 84, so they never have that moment, and I was so sad that we didn't get that. It's so stupid, but I so wanted them to be like, oh, let's watch Goonies, and him be like, nah, I don't like that movie, like something silly. But
okay, if that actually happened, you for a second you'd be like, "That's awesome," and then you go, like, "Wait, that movie's not out yet," and you get really mad.
That's what I'm saying. Like the idea of it taking place in 84, I understood why it didn't happen.
Yeah,
but that would have been something I would have wanted to see if the show just bumped up a year, right? Like if it started in 84 instead of 83 and season 2.
So you're saying they brought him in too soon?
They brought him in too soon, and I'm sure that was part of the point. Like truthfully, I'm sure that was, but. I so wanted that so bad of, them making.
Were there any Patty Duke references?
No.
Were there any?
No Addams Family either.
Addams Family.
No,
okay.
I don't think so. In fact, the movie, the 85 reference movie is Back to the Future. That's the one that is referenced in the series.
Okay.
Yeah. So, man, no, because there's. Carrie Ellis is in it too, but that's 85. And I think The Princess Bride is 86, 87.
I can't remember.
It might be. Okay. So it's later. Either way, like that's kind of the funny thing where there's folks from the 80s in it, but it's never at a point where you could see their movies, which is kind of like, it's such a good tease. But I was like, oh okay, never mind. That's not accurate. But still kind of fun in a real big way. I would love for you to watch this series. I think there's a lot of very interesting things in it. There's some folks that pop up that I don't want to tell you because I think they, at this point, even though it's happened and you possibly could have seen it without watching it, they could be fun Easter eggs, and I don't want to give it away. But it's a fun series that I think does nostalgia right. And highly recommend if you guys haven't seen it or if you stopped early, like one episode in, that you give it another shot and see what kind of 80s magic you can rekindle for yourself, because I think it's worth it. Can I, just a short. Okay, I'm gonna count it. After the series finale, we'll see if we can do a countdown to Bill watching Stranger Things. Because there's stranger things that could happen than that. Guys, thank y'all for tuning into the Chatterverse. Once again, I'm Victor Andrews, the hardest working man in comics.
And I'm Bill, and while I might go back and watch Stranger Things, I'm not going to go back and watch Mannequin.